Good evening. What am I doing tonight? Well, I'm out again, and serenaded by the sound of owls, I'm looking at this. So I was sent this from Bangood. I'll do a full review when I've got time. So this is just the initial thoughts. This is the EA, if I can focus on the damn thing, look like a drunk, EA01S. Now, if you remember, I did a review on the EA01, which I quite liked. Looked exactly the same. However, on the one, not the S, which this is, it was using a TIR rather than these 4 emitters in a smooth quad setup there, so you can see that there. You can get this in 4 cree 50.2s, and you can also go for the SST model, which is what I've gone for a little bit of throw. I just want to see what they're like, because I'm getting a bit sick of doing all the cree 50.2s. They're great, I've got no problems with them. But I just wanted to try this one. It's got a nice lit up button. It's not Android 2 as far as I can see from my initial test. It just seems to be Android 1. Enough of me waffling though, let's get on with this. So it is a USB rechargeable. It's Type C under there, trust me. I'm doing this one-handed, so it's a bit hard. And you can use a 26650, which is what I have in here. But listen, hear that? Little bit of battery rattle, which I wasn't so happy about. And initial testing, I couldn't get power delivery to work. And when I say power delivery, I'm talking about Type C to Type C. I will investigate that a little bit further though in the full review. Okay, so you should get on this emitter around 7,000 lumens, I think it is, which is pretty impressive, but it does get hot quite quickly. So let's turn this on. Now you can see that is on there. We'll fire it down to the floor. In fact, I'll come right down and turn this off because I want to show you what the beam looks like. So that's its lowest, and then we'll turn it up a bit. So that's the highest setting, not turbo, but look. So let's have a look at the beam profile here. So quite flower petally, you see on the extremity there? Quite flower petally, you see that? And if I come out a little bit more, you might not see it as so much on the mud here, but if I move it around, you see how there's like, you've got the middle spot, then you've got a bit of tint shift, comes up a little bit yellowy, and then you've got a ring, and then it goes dark into those petals. So up close, maybe it's not the best, but as you come back, so pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. You can still see a little bit of a ring there, you see it? It may or may not pick this up. I'm doing this in HDR to try and pick everything up for you. But that's a pretty decent beam. Let's see what it looks like stretching out. So we'll walk along a bit. I'm quite happy with that. If I was going for a hike, I'd use this. Width-wise, let's hold this out at arm's length just so you can see I'm not cheating here. So extremity-wise, not so good, not that wide, but it's, it's more of a thrower, this one, because of its design. It's not like a super wide TIR. So pretty good. I did some initial testing, CRI, so colour rendering index. I got just under 70, I think. In fact, it might have been 65, which is a little bit low. So I'm hoping that it was just a bad batch, but I will cover that properly in the full review, obviously. And I know that I'm being a bit picky on things like CRI and things like that. I didn't notice any flicker or anything dodgy. Like I say, Type C, they're claiming it will charge up to 2 amps, which is pretty good and reasonable. Bear in mind, you can put in something like a 26650. Within the box, though, they had a converter inside, which looked like a 3D printed cylinder. Now, if you stick that in, what you can do is you can use a 18650 cell. You can also use a 21700. If you throw that converter in the bin and use the included cylinder, which is the tube, and swap that out, you can use a 26350, I think it is. I don't own any of them, so I certainly can't test that, but that's a lot of options for a light, isn't it? Let's just check temperature here. Look, it's still on. There's my hand. In fact, I'll turn this on so you can see. There's my hand on it. Look, it's been on full. Look. Can you hear that owl? Sorry, Mr. Owl, I'm just doing a bit of testing. So look, full on. That's not too hot. It does get hotter on turbo, obviously, though. So if I go to turbo here, so double click, right, that should be 7,000 lumens. You can get an 11,000 lumen model, which I discussed, which is the 50.2s. But I mean, how many lumens do you want? And that's going to get, it's going to zap through your battery even faster. So that's the only problem with that, and it's going to get hotter faster and step down. I didn't notice any ridiculous step downs on this. It's pretty reasonable, certainly compared to something like the Nikon E4K, which drops quite quickly. And I've been testing it against some other quad emitters and things like that with different setups, but very impressive. So what I want to do is, you've seen this and what it looks like. I want to compare it to some of the lights, and it is getting hot now. Look, when I try and touch that, Yeah, that's a little bit ridiculous. It's turned into a winter heater there, but pretty nice. Let's have a look at the beam there. So beam wise, you've got a thick central shaft there, but not very wide, look, is it? Far left and far right, you see that? Not the widest. So this is more for distance, and that's one of the reasons why I went for the SST, to get a bit more through on them. So turn this off, because it's burning me to death. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm putting that in lock mode. Do you know why? Because my last coat, I've burnt the damn pocket again. That's the third time it's melted. In fact, I'll put a video up and show that. But anyway, I want to show you some other lights. So if you thought, I want 11,000 lumens in a quad emitter setup, what you could do is, you could go for the Astrolux EA01S. So here it is. Let's unlock it. That's it. So again, quad emitter, but it's using different emitters here. It's 4 50.2s from Cree. So you get an incredible 11,000 lumens. Watch this. Boom. In fact, I'll show you. So there's its lowest. Then we'll ramp up, ramp up, ramp up. Highest non-turbo. Boom. Look at that turbo. That's ludicrous. And look, I would say that's probably, it's obviously lighter, but very similar width. Maybe a tiny little bit better, I don't know. But that's extremely bright, look. Look at that. Massive brightness. But it's much bigger. It's much, much harder to pocket this, even though it is still only using the 26650. I say only, but they are large cells. But pretty impressive. So let's lock that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will lock it because I'm sick of burning myself. So slap that in the pocket. I'm also testing it against, now this looks exactly the same, it is, apart from the top bit, still using a 26650, and it's using a 1 TIR with 1 50.2. So let's get that turned on. So we'll go to its lowest. Now totally different beam profile. See that? You've got this fat chunky bit, which does give you good mid-range, I will admit that. Let's see side on. There's turbo. Now look at that, it's all one fat wedge. You don't see that, those two side bits. In fact, I'll breathe a bit. No, I was wrong, look, watch. As I breathe, you can see there is a wide section there, you see it? So I was wrong there, it does. And you can show that by, look, pretty wide beam. It's only 1 50.2, so it's certainly not as bright as the others. It's 3,500 lumens, this one, but a bit cheaper. Same form factor though, very decent. I quite enjoy using this. I use this regularly. I love it because it's a small stubby light with a good capacity. You know, 26650 with, you know, it's got 5,000 milliamp ish. That's pretty decent. So turn that off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get that in the pocket. Try not to set myself on fire. The Human Torch. I'm also comparing it against the PL47. This is the Gen 2. It is locked there, so 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see it's got the auxiliary lights there. If you're wondering, is that on? It isn't, but that's the auxiliary lights. I think they're a cyan look to them. But it's 4 emitters again. I think these are all the XP H highs or something like that. And it is behind a TIR. So look at that, a very different setup there. So turn that on, very floody. And what we'll do is, I'll show you side on so you can see what the beam's like. There. So you see the beam? Pretty impressive. I think I need to turn that up. Let's turn that up a bit. There, so that's maximum. Decent, very bright, 4,500-ish lumens, I think. That last one was 3,500. Turbo, there's your 4,500. So pretty wide beam, look, once it gets going. Very nice. Steps down rapidly though, watch. Even though the design is kind of fugly in a way, it does step down. So any minute now, but I think that might have already stepped there. It's starting to step down a bit. Something that's very hard to see on camera because it makes a slight adjustment, but I need those settings because I'm going from one output to another. Yeah, I think that's stepped a little bit, but still very, very hot. Yeah, it has stepped there, I can tell. Yeah, I can't see into the distance as much. But nice light, you know, for a headlamp, it's pretty powerful. Get that in the back pocket without burning myself. And I think I've got 2 more tested against the Nightcore E4K. I've said this before, it's about 4,400 lumens. I don't like the UI, but it works. Very floody, you know, I'm not having to go at it, it's quite capable, but it steps down rapidly. So there it is on turbo, very bright, look at that. Width-wise, lovely, very, very floody. Mid-range, this is exceptional. And as soon as you start stretching away, not as good, and the step down's ludicrous, watch. So I've been talking for about 15 seconds here, whinging about this light. It's going to start stepping any minute, well, any second I should say. There, it's stepping down now, step down. Right, it's now stepped down, believe it or not. terrible quick step down on that one. And that again is a smooth emitter, reflector, sorry, with 4 emitters there. So we'll get that in the back pocket. And then one last thing that I did test it against was, if I can get that out of the pocket, and then I'll leave you in peace because you're probably sick of me. I tested against the SP36 from Sofern. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, get that on. Very high CRI in this, but it's large. It's a soda can. Look at the size of that. Let's check the beam. Not that wide, look, but I'll breathe just to see what the true extent of it is. Yeah, it's quite wide. You're just not seeing the particles there, so it's not so bad. So that's its lowest. We'll come down a bit, and then we'll go to its highest. Pretty bright. It's 5,250 lumens, I think, off the top of my head. Turbo there. That's its lightest, brightest. Pretty good. It could maybe, because of its size, it could maybe do with being a tiny little bit wider. But other than that, it's very, very hard to complain about this light. I said a lot of good things about it, and I stand by that. You know, I'm enjoying using it. The high CRI, good emitters from Samsung, 4 of them in a smooth quad setup there. You know, really, really good light. Cheap as well for what you get, and rechargeable. So those are the lights there, and if I can find it, which may be a bit of a puzzler because I've got so many lights in my pocket. There it is. So back to the light we're supposed to be looking at, and then I'll leave you in peace. So the EA01S, unlock it, there you go. So look at that beam there. So let's go for a little walk here. Let's see what it looks like on the floor. So if I was walking along, there you go, there's my feet, covered in mud. See them there? So pretty decent. I can certainly hike by this, and I've been going through all this damn mud. In fact, let's go down to the river and let's see what it looks like, and then I will leave you in peace. So like I say, 1.5 metre drop rating on this, very good for the price. It is an IPX7. I would rather have seen 8, but it does have a USB flap, they are being honest, and it's one of the decent USB flaps, the ones that look like male genitalia, unfortunately, but they do work. Choice of emitters, there's a couple of tint choices in both. The 2 choices with the 50.2 and 2 with the SSTs, which is what I'm using, and I'm pretty impressed with it so far. So let's have a quick look at this river, and then I'll leave you in peace. So I can feel the heat now because I think this is in turbo, but it's doing an excellent job. Let's come down and have a look at this river. It's all pretty nice, you know. Got no real complaints apart from couldn't get power delivery to work. I'll keep an eye on the step down and things like that, but pretty impressive. I would have rather liked to have seen them updated to Anduro 2, but you know, you can't have everything. I think this is maybe an older light. Now I think that stepped down a little bit there. Let's just check. If I double click this and it jumps up, that means it did. So yes, you see the jump there? So that had stepped down there. Let's check the temperature. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's not massively heavy. Actually, it's good down here for the particles in the air. So you can see the beam better. There you go. See it? And get a good view of it there. Pretty nice. Anyway, I've bored you long enough. Like I say, this is in 4K, HDR and all that good stuff, highest end coding possible. I'll do a full review when I get time, but I keep getting bombarded by companies. Thank you very much for joining me, and good night. You take care now. Bye bye.